There are few things more important on your mountain bike than your suspension. Whether it's a hardtail XC machine or a full suspension trail bike, having your suspension set up and dialed in can make or break the ride. N+1 is here to simplify that process. Now, there are two terms to know before we get started. Those are sag, which is how much your suspension compresses under your body weight when you're just sitting on the bike, and rebound, which controls how fast your suspension returns from compressing. Knowing these two terms, we can begin by getting a good starting spot. Most bike manufacturers and suspension manufacturers will put weight charts either on the shock, in the documentation, or on their website. These numbers serve as a great starting point for setting up your suspension. Following the weight chart, base it on your weight and you'll find what PSI to start with, as well as the rebound settings. First and foremost, before you begin, ensure that your fork and rear suspension are both fully unlocked or in the open position. If you're doing this solo, begin by propping your bike up so that you can fully mount it as if you were riding. Once on the bike, give the suspension a few bounces before sitting down completely on the seat. After sitting, reach down and reset the O-ring found on your shock and fork. The final step is a little tricky, but all you need to do is slowly step off the bike, making sure to put no extra weight on the suspension as you do so. If you have a buddy to help, you can simplify the process. The steps are the same, but your friend can support and balance the bike. Once again, give some hops on the suspension before resetting the O-ring. Your buddy can also slightly lift up on the fork to help ensure that you don't add any extra weight when dismounting. When finished, we will measure the distance the O-ring traveled. Ideally, you want to have moved 25 to 30% down the suspension. Some shocks and forks will have markings to help you measure, but a pair of calipers or a ruler will also do the trick. With our measurements taken, we can now fine-tune the sag on the suspension. The front fork and rear shock both have a bleed valve, usually covered up with a small threaded piece of metal. Using a shock pump, we can either bleed air out of the suspension or add more air to it. For example, if your O-ring only moved down about 15%, you know you need to let out some air. If it moved 35%, you know you need to add air in. Do this for both the front and the rear, and then hop back on and redo the process to make sure we're right where we need to be. Once our sag is set, we can move on to adjusting the rebound. Your front and rear suspension will have an adjustment knob to either speed up or slow down the rebound. Adjustments are measured in clicks, which are audible as you rotate the adjustment knob. Each knob will have arrows indicating which direction to turn for faster or slower rebound. Now, rebound is important as it can drastically change the way that your suspension reacts. If you have the rebound set too fast, it will be like riding a rigid fork, as your fork doesn't have time to fully compress. If you have the rebound set too low, it will bog down as you compress, causing your bike to feel slow and less responsive. Testing your setup after adjustment is important. You can do this on the trail or simply go out and find a curb to test things on. Now, if you notice you're being thrown off your bike or like you're being sprung up, your rebound is likely too fast and needs to be slower. If you notice you're bogged down and don't feel much of a response, your rebound is likely too slow and needs to be faster. Keep in mind, too, that rebound adjustments can be fine-tuned while out on rides. Hardly anyone gets it perfect the first try. However, when you nail it, it'll be like a whole different ride.